here there maybe like a question before we dive into like more actionable tips and advice.
Sure.
For like a Shopify store, like a product, is there like a perfect scenario for like a Shopify store should also go into Amazon? Maybe like a niche or maybe like a specific case, or it would be the perfect case for them to try out Amazon as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're acquiring more than like $500 or to $1,000 a day in profit on Shopify from your store, but you don't have an Amazon channel, then you are easily losing, 10, 15, 20% of your traffic to Amazon. So at that point, if you have now set up the systems, traffic, organic, paid, or whatever, and you're making $300, $400, $500 a day in profit on your Shopify store, that's a great time to go ahead and make the effort to get your Amazon store open, because now you are sending customers to Amazon. We call it found money at that point, because they are literally going to validate on Amazon if you're a legitimate business, if you legitimately have products. And if they don't see you at the top of their search, if they don't find your products to validate what they just saw on Facebook, TikTok, Google, whatever, then they're going to buy somebody else's because they were already interested in buying it. And because Amazon presents it to them right there, they're just going to be like, boop, that's the one. I trust Amazon. I know the return rate. I know the company. I know how I deal with the problems. I can leave them a negative review if I don't like it, or I can be positive, et cetera, et cetera. And they just click really fast, making it very easy. So if you're on that side of the house, and you've got some established brand, product, stuff moving, that's probably a pretty good window of time in which you would want to start opening that channel to start taking on those additional sales that you're missing, that are literally getting bought in Amazon.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like right now Amazon has a similar effect when you see products in retail. You might see an ad for something that's online. You're kind of like on the edge whether this is legit. You go in, let's say, a Walmart, and you see, for example, Ghoulies gummies in Walmart. Right. You're like, wow, they're legit. Like, they're here, and all of a sudden it adds a lot of credibility.
It's a trust.
Yeah.
We call it similarity and familiarity equal trust. Because there are similar products in a familiar operating space now within Amazon, and it owns 47% of the market share. Because of that, we can build brands no one's ever heard of in 10 minutes and launch those products into competition on Amazon, and using the trust factor of Amazon, start getting sales on it with 0 reviews. Right? Because we can sell to the algo, we can sell to the business, and it legitimizes your company. Once upon a time, if you weren't in the yellow books, you weren't a legitimate business. Okay, and when the yellow books went to a website, it was like, well, you at least need a brochure website, because people are going to look you up and they're going to say, oh, well, they got a website, they're legitimate. Well, if you're in e-commerce today, we see Amazon's business now as just a way to not only incubate the business to determine its value, its profit, its potential and upside, but a legitimizing of the company. That you are actually a legitimate company because you have a brand on Amazon. Yeah. Even if it's not making up a majority of your sales.
I have an interesting question for you. You definitely know the story of the brand that was selling tripods on Amazon. Then Amazon banned the tripod brand and then basically released their own Amazon Basics. This is kind of like the thing I feel like you touched upon. Yep. It's a tool. It's not gonna be something magical. It's a tool. So for you, maybe can you elaborate on that point? Why did that happen? Yep. Do you see this happening often, or did they make us like a very specific mistake?
They made a very specific mistake that turned into an urban internet legend, in which I personally saw the marketing community use it as a reason to get you to buy their drop shipping courses and go over and do the drop shipping stuff. Look, Amazon steals your products and brands, and that doesn't happen over here on Shopify. They literally created a marketing narrative out of it. And in reality, the person later on, as you listen through that and you follow along with that story, don't just read the headline, but actually go back and digest and do some quick digging, you'll find out. He didn't have a legitimate brand. Anyone could have come in and knocked him off the platform, and he actually got bounced because he wasn't in compliance. Now Amazon went and created the product, and that was their mistake. When they did that, they made too much visibility into their own brands. Now, Marketplace has already determined Amazon brand sucks, to the point that last week they're removing all their brands from the platform. Okay, they just announced that they're not going to be selling any more of their products. They are under scrutiny for anti-trust laws, and because of the kickback and feedback of all the negative narrative, they see and just literally the underperforming products, because they are crappy, they get reviewed very badly, and they are some of the worst performing products, and you can beat them any day of the week in their own platform, because most of them have no freaking idea how to sell on it, and now they're going to be removing themselves. So we got both a bit of a mistake on the seller part, used to create a narrative that was against Amazon. And, there's negative things about Amazon. They have a corporate policies and things I don't necessarily agree with myself. But that created a situation that allowed marketers to go out and kind of push on that point and take a little minority thing and make it a majority problem. In actuality, when you're in compliance and you follow along with the terms of service, they want to work with you. And shutting down the business of your account, your seller account, versus taking an ASIN offline, or problems with compliance with ASINs, are typically an AI thing. They're typically something that nefarious sellers can jack with. But if you are defensible, if you are in compliance, you can usually get those fixed relatively fast. And it's just part of being in business with the platform. It's just part of being in it, like dealing with Facebook ad accounts or whatever. It's all part of just being involved in the business. If you are a great business and you're creating great brands, they'll give you representatives. They'll help you with localized shipping. They'll open up other channels. They want to establish a very good brand presence. And in the last 3-4 years, I've literally been talking about this for 7 years, but in the last 3-4 years, they finally come into more compliance. When Bezos was removed and a new CEO put in, a new seller performance VP was put in, brand compliance is a huge component of what they're doing right now. So you're seeing a lot more negativity in the marketplace towards Amazon because it's coming from the drop shippers, the retail arbitrageurs, the wholesalers, and all the people who've been out of compliance. The AI is catching them faster now, and it's shutting them down faster. And because they have jacked with the system, Amazon is also holding the money. I had a guy come about 3 weeks ago, and he said, Amazon's holding on to $33,000 of their money. Those jerks, I can't believe they were doing that. And my answer to him was very lovingly, but bro, we talked about this months ago. You're running a dropshipping store. What I told you, they were going to, I hate to say I told you so. They were going to catch you eventually. And of course they're going to hold up the money because you jacked with their system. But it's my money and I need them to give it back to me. I'm like, I get that. I understand that. At the same time, you were playing the game, right? And you got caught. If you built a real brand, that wouldn't have happened.
For sure. Maybe then a different kind of question from my side. So this is basically how I
Sure.
currently understand the comparison of Shopify and Amazon. Like with Shopify, I see you have more control, more freedom. Through that, I see it maybe is a bit more scalable, but also requires more work and is also more volatile. Amazon, on the other side, how I see it is obviously have less control, so maybe less management, but it's less volatile and a bit more stable, and maybe not as scalable, or if not, maybe if as scalable, maybe not as quickly scalable. Would you agree with that assessment, or yeah?
Great question. There's two. I guess it's a tortoise and the hare conversation, because we all know the story. The tortoise and the hare, right? The hare ran out really fast and got way ahead. The tortoise kept a momentum and a pace, and eventually the tortoise won when the hare, didn't make it. I kind of see this as a tortoise and a hare conversation, because you may have a slower ramp up time on Amazon. And in private label, it takes a little bit more of the initial complexity of the setting everything up correctly to ensure you go to market with brand defensibility and brand momentum and opportunity from that. But once you get started, I don't know what you consider scalable, but we've taken businesses to $40 million in 1 year on Amazon. So as far as I'm concerned, that's scalable. I've taken many more people as a whole to 7 figures in 12 months. I consider that to be scalable. And the thing about that is, once they are able to get traction with the algorithm, once they're able to let the algorithm determine that their metrics, their product, their sellability, their sales velocity, and a bunch of other metrics inside of Amazon are validated against the competition, Amazon will reward them with more distribution. See, it's an algo. It just makes decisions about where to send the sales. It isn't that there are random people deciding to make sales. There's 4,000 sales a minute happening on Amazon. What the algo is doing as a gatekeeper is just shifting through the demand of those sales and picking which vendor is able to deliver the product at the best price point for that customer just in time. So it's just choosing. So as you go through and learn that algo, the goal is for it to decide to choose you more often than your competition because you have better metrics, better inventory, better profitability, better upside potential for Amazon, as well as your brand. And then it will lift you into new tiers of traffic. And from there, that can go very quickly. So we've seen repeated case studies, verifiable case studies in my team, in my business, as well as my clients, most importantly, where they'll hit 100,000 after their launch within 30 to 45 days. And from there, new tiers of traffic open up. I have a case study from Daniel, who this May 2022, was doing about 150,000 a month. He had climbed up and he was getting there, and he had plateaued between 100 and 150 for a few months. But the algo is basically just determining based on his inventory, his sales, his availability of product, his price point and competition, that in June, it doubled his sales. So he went from 150 to 300,000 a month, right? And he still works 10 to 15 hours a week. He didn't start working 100 hours a week. He didn't do something miraculous. He didn't make some giant changes. The algo rewarded his brand with more market share. And that's the beauty I like with Amazon, is that it doesn't take more than 10 to 15 hours a week to run a multi-seven-figure business with no employees, no infrastructure, no overhead, and minimal paid traffic. And I even have case studies, and I just went on another podcast proving this, and they were like, well, you better bring some guests on because we don't believe what you're saying. And I brought on 2 guests to prove it, was that we can even turn off ads in Amazon when we reach certain levels of metric. Amazon wants us to stay there and wants us to stay on the top brand. It's making the most money. It's getting the most demand answered from the customer. And because of that, you can start backing down your ads, okay, which is increasing your profitability without losing rank, organic sales, or market share. And in some instances, and we proved this, we turned off 30,000 a month in paid traffic and went nowhere. In fact, we gained organic market share and we gained profitability. So we can even show how to dial back those campaigns down to very minimal campaigns, kind of like cruise control on your car at 70 miles an hour. You no longer need all that effort to get up to speed. You're just leaving it on cruise. Now you're maximizing your profit.